Everyone to FSR's first LinkedIn Live and happy Sarcoidosis Awareness Month. I'm Tricia Shivas, the Chief of Staff and Strategy at the Foundation for Sarcoidosis Research. I am pleased to be joined today by Craig Lipstadt, an esteemed member of the FSR Board of Directors and an individual living with sarcoidosis, and FSR's Chief Executive Officer, Mary McGowan. Welcome to you both.
Thanks, Tricia.
Glad to be here.
So I wanted to start off with the first question, which is, what is your connection to sarcoidosis? And Craig, I'll start with you.
Well, thanks so much, Tricia. It's great to be here, and it's great to be here for FSR's first LinkedIn Live. What a fun experiment for everyone here. So as you mentioned from that brief intro, my connection is certainly on the board for the Foundation for Sarcoidosis Research, but my connection to the disease predates my relationship with FSR and relates back to my own lungs. It was about 18 years ago when my wife was pregnant with our second child that I found myself struggling to catch my breath with a very simple corporate run. At a job I was working at, we were doing a 5K, and I found I could barely cross the finish line. And it was only then that I started to realize I was starting to avoid stairs at work and opting for the elevator more and more. And so I went and saw my doctor and started on a journey that many patients with sarcoidosis go down, trying to find a diagnosis and involving imaging and biopsy and other types of interventions, finally finding a pulmonologist who focused in sarcoid so that I could get a diagnosis. And so the relationship for me with sarcoidosis is personal. It's personal to my lungs. And I've been really thrilled then to take that experience as a patient with my experience in my professional life and bring it together with FSR over these last 10 years now.
Thank you so much for sharing that and for your longtime commitment as a volunteer board member, making all of the differences that we're able to do as a group together. And we're welcoming the community to join us. And Mary, would you share a little bit about what your connection is with sarcoidosis?
Thank you, Tricia. Yes, I'm not living with sarcoidosis, but my connection and passion comes from having had a rare benign tumor when I was a child. I lived for almost a month at Sloan Kettering Cancer Institute and spent many years following up with my doctors there at the outpatient clinic at Sloan Kettering. So I received a very early education about the importance of access to good quality healthcare, advocating for those who need help, and many of the other things that we are working at the Foundation for Sarcoidosis, for speaking up for patients and caring for them along with their journey living with sarcoidosis. So I'm thrilled to be working in the rare disease space, and that's my personal connection. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Mary, do you want to say a little bit about why it's so important that people say sarcoidosis? This is the theme for our Sarcoidosis Awareness Month. For those of you who don't know, it is Say Sarcoidosis. And Mary, would you share a little bit about why that's so important?
We are so excited about the Say Sarcoidosis campaign this month. It's so important for many reasons. People need to understand what sarcoidosis is. We've heard many patients sometimes describe their, as an example, cardiac sarcoidosis as I have a heart condition. And we feel at FSR it's critically important to actually name the disease so that people come familiar with the word sarcoidosis, with the meaning of sarcoidosis, so then they can bring that to their physicians, they can bring it to their homes and families and communities to talk about this disease in the event that they may know someone who is going through signs and symptoms of living with sarcoidosis, and that could possibly help bring about a shorter diagnosis journey and perhaps even save a life. And so we encourage everybody this month to say sarcoidosis in the effort of raising awareness around the world. Thank you.
Absolutely. And Craig, I'll ask you to chime in, but before you do, would you mind saying a little bit about what sarcoidosis is so that people, when they say sarcoidosis, they also know what they should be telling people as well?
Sure, sure. And it's a great question, right? Because when we When we think about this word, first of all, many people aren't familiar with it, or maybe they heard it on an old episode of a medical TV show like House or something else. And as a result, I think there's a lot of myths and myth busting opportunities that are lost when we don't actually say sarcoidosis. And so, for example, is sarcoidosis entirely rate limiting? It just goes away and everything is fine. Well, maybe that's true for some, but certainly not for all. Will people be responsive to treatments? Again, we can't answer and have that conversation and help demystify if we're not saying the name. And for my friends that may be joining on LinkedIn Live from the life sciences world and working in clinical research, there as well, if we're not saying it, we can't consider it as a part of our therapeutic or repurposing opportunities. When we're thinking about our medicines that may be targeting parts of the immune or inflammation cascades, then could be a great rare disease opportunity for a potential therapeutic. But if we're not saying it, we're not considering it, and it's not going to land as an important part of our medicine development strategy, whether for initial indications or for repurposed. For those that aren't familiar, this is an immune-mediated inflammatory disorder involving these granulomas that can develop and start to trigger different types of inflammation and inflammation events for many in the lungs. But as you start to get exposed to the sarcoid community, you start to realize that while most prevalent in the lungs, sarcoidosis can be picked up in most any organ. So once you start to say sarcoidosis, you start to find people battling neurosarcoidosis and managing pain, finding people with cardiac sarcoidosis who are trying to manage arrhythmias or other concerns, straight through to skin and other parts of the body, ophthalmologic sarcoid and elsewhere. And so the other footnote that I think is so important and really I think will resonate with our audience today, and has been such a cornerstone for the work at FSR, is the epidemiology for the disease and the appreciation that I do not look like a typical sarcoid patient. In fact, I look the opposite of a typical sarcoid patient, where the epidemiology tends to skew more towards women of color. And when we have diseases that lean more towards African American populations, we have to be additionally sensitive to access concerns, access to appropriate diagnostics, and access to good options. And so for those that today are particularly concerned about health equity, saying sarcoidosis helps to represent many in the community that may not have as strong a voice as others.
Thank you so much for that. And think that leads really nicely into one of my next questions for you both, which is what excites you about what's happening in sarcoidosis and FSR's activities? And Mary, do you want to chime in a little bit on how we're dealing with health equity?
Sure, I'd love to. I'll just spin off from what Craig was just saying about health equity. We have been doing a lot of work at FSR in this area. Unfortunately, the African American community, and specifically African American women, have the highest prevalence of sarcoidosis and unfortunately the worst outcomes. So about 2.5 years ago, we launched a national campaign called Ignore No More. And this campaign is now in its third phase. And it has been raising a lot of awareness amongst the African American community. We did an IRB approved national survey for the African American community. We created a 60-page white paper and headed to the halls of Congress this past year at a congressional briefing representing the African American community and sarcoidosis, and asking for significant changes at the national level to address issues associated with clinical trials and research and many other barriers that we learned from through this national survey that was done. So clearly a lot of work there. We're also very excited. When I joined FSR 3 years ago, there was only one clinical trial underway. Now there are 8. And so we're very excited about the growth and the interest in the industry and in the research areas for sarcoidosis. And of course, this is critical in terms of getting better therapies and eventually a cure for sarcoidosis. We're also very excited about our FSR Global Sarcoidosis Clinic Alliance. We initiated a new project about a year and a half ago, and we are inviting all hospital institutions to come together through this alliance to work collaboratively together to really make movement about sarcoidosis, research and patient support in local communities. And this initiative is making groundbreaking progress. And finally, next year is FSR's 25th anniversary. So we're very excited to reflect on all the incredible work that the organization has been involved in, and at the same time, looking at what's next for the next 25 years. So those are just some of the things that I'm very excited about.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for sharing those. And Craig, I'll pass it over to you. What are you excited about that's happening at FSR?
I think Mary gave an incredible landscape of things that are going on here, and I'm going to lean into just one of those pillars that she had pointed to. Um, for those of you in the audience that I haven't met before, my day work and my 30 years of work life experience have been in medicine development and clinical trials for new medicines, working with pharmaceutical and biotechnology companies. And to Mary's point now, seeing this surge of clinical trial activities with biotech and pharmaceutical companies that are taking medicines in the first line and bringing them through for sarcoidosis. This is unprecedented. Keep in mind, for many of us as patients in this community, we've been living with repurposed drugs that very often didn't even have clinical trial data to back it up. And when I say repurposed, I mean drugs that were developed for another reason, and people just, providers without access to other treatment options, just logically fell into rhythms of using some of these treatments for patients with sarcoid. Now we are going to have evidence to back up proper new medicines for this community. So I'm very excited about that and the role that FSR has played there, because it's organizations like FSR that sit at this critical intersection with patients and the trust of patients and representing those patients and bringing their voice to the table, intersected with industry, and an appropriate balance with the representation of the scientists and clinicians and pharmaceutical and biotechnology organizations, so that the resources that they're going to deploy, which are millions of dollars being deployed against these diseases, will be directed for the needs of those patients with sarcoidosis. And when we think about what FSR is bringing to this table, right, it's not just trust with patients, it's not just clinics and sites that can perform the research, it's the voice of those patients that's representative of the patients in this community. Now, for my friends that may be on LinkedIn, they'll say, but Craig, you don't you love this decentralized clinical trial stuff and making research more accessible? And of course, I love research made more accessible, and I'm thrilled that so many of the studies that are happening for patients with sarcoid are creating choice and flexibility around location, and now making participation even more accessible, because we know that underserved patient populations are the ones who would struggle the most with taking time off, arranging childcare, traveling to get to a research site. And so it's fabulous to see that many of the sponsors who are investing energy and bringing their new medicines to the sarcoidosis community are doing it in a way that's inclusive with those patients and thoughtful about their access needs.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And this is a really exciting weekend coming up. On April 13th, we will be celebrating together World Sarc Day. And we invite all of you to join us in celebrating World Sarc Day. And Craig, I'm going to ask you if you could share some actions that you think people could take to join you in celebrating World Sarc Day.
Well, I should say that I'll be wearing purple on World Sarc Day. I am colorblind, so I will have to work with my daughter, and then whether I'm actually wearing purple or not depends on how snarky she's feeling and if she's going to actually direct me to the color purple or just, play around with me and tell me I'm wearing purple right now and I'm all set. So I think certainly being able to post and share about support for sarcoidosis or raising awareness on any social channels, I treat LinkedIn differently from Facebook, but I think all of those types of channels are great ones to be able to share and build more awareness and invite others to share and amplify. They may not have a loved one that's affected, although maybe they love me. But even if, but otherwise, there may be others in their community or networks who are affected and will appreciate seeing that type of signal and support that's so easy to do just by clicking, sharing, liking, commenting, and helping to amplify that message. I think for me also, I'm always thinking about ways to help more patients find research opportunities and just using it as an opportunity to remind patients in the sarcoidosis community or loved ones that are helping those patients, there's so many opportunities to participate. A clinical trial with a new medicine might be an opportunity, or maybe it's not. Maybe it's just not right for you, or you don't meet the eligibility criteria that are used for that study. But there's still other ways and places like the sarcoidosis registry at FSR. That's a research opportunity that doesn't involve a new medicine. It's a way that you can share data and your experience that helps inform and drive the research community. So many ways to participate, and it doesn't have to be a new medicine, but it certainly might be for many in our community today.
That's wonderful. And I love the idea that LinkedIn loves Craig Lipset. I think that that's probably true. That could be a new hashtag that we put out there today. um, but I want to also, before passing it to you, Mary, to chime in, I want to add that not only are we on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on X, and we are newly on TikTok and on Pinterest. So please follow us on all of those different locations and share, like, add comments. We welcome all of that. Mary, what are some other actions you think people could take on World Sarc Day, again, Saturday, the 13th, to join us?
Well, so excited about celebrating World Sarc Day. And first and foremost, to add just a couple of the things that Craig was highlighting, say sarcoidosis. Get out there on all of your activities the whole weekend. Get family, get friends, get people that you're around all weekend. Start them saying sarcoidosis. That really helps to spread the word and to educate. And again, getting back to it could potentially save a life. So I encourage everybody to do that and to post photos if you can on social and hashtag Say Sarcoidosis and hashtag FSR. The other thing I'm really excited about is that we had two generous donors who have come together in this celebration to make this exciting opportunity possible to announce a double and triple match. So for every donation made up to $349, your gift impact will double. For gifts $350 and above, your gift impact will be tripled to our goal of $20,000 for that match. That means if your contribution is $100, your gift will be doubled to $200. And if your contribution is $500, your gift impact would be tripled for a $1,500 donation for World Sarcoidosis Day weekend celebration. And to participate in this, all you have to do is go to stopsarcoidosis.org and go to our donation page and donate to the Say Sarcoidosis campaign. What an amazing opportunity this weekend brings with this triple match. All the monies to go to sarcoidosis research and the activities that the FSR is doing to help patients along their journey living with sarcoidosis. So very exciting, and thank you everybody for participating in this great celebration of World Sarc Day on Saturday.
Mary, that's amazing. And so people don't have to do anything different in terms of their donation. If they were donating 100 or 500, that's all they have to do. And thanks to another generous donor, that gift is just going to be amplified like crazy and make a far better impact.
Correct. How often do you get to have your money
That's
work for
crazy.
you 3 times the strength of that
That's
dollar?
tremendous.
So this is really exciting, and we hope everybody takes advantage of this wonderful opportunity to triple or double your impact and the impact that will have for those living with sarcoidosis. So thank you again to everybody for celebrating with us this weekend.
That's so exciting. And we can't wait to see all those wonderful photos. Hashtag, as Mary said, Say Sarcoidosis, hashtag Stop Sarcoidosis, and hashtag Post in Purple, because we want to get out there and be in purple. And hopefully, Craig, your daughter will put you in purple so you can post in purple along with us. We're coming to the close here, so I just wanted to give each of you an opportunity to say anything that you would like to say to those that are listening to us today or will be listening to us on the recording. And so, Craig, I'll start with you.
I know that there's very likely a very diverse listenership for an event like this. Some of you may be patients, some of you may be loved ones of patients, some may be curious that you just saw LinkedIn Live pop up on your LinkedIn and thought you'd give it a click, and thank you for doing that. Some of you may work in life sciences and clinical research, and hopefully, whatever your role is, by stopping and saying sarcoidosis, you'll be able to help amplify the messages that were shared here today, both on behalf of patients and their loved ones, where their stories and in the state that they're managing, their health condition they're managing, can get greater awareness. And because of greater awareness, hopefully that will help improve the lives of other patients, potentially in your network. Your sharing information through whatever social channel has the potential to help improve the life of someone else out there that's looking for resources, that's looking for that diagnosis, that's looking for new options. And if you're a friend in the life sciences and working in clinical research, keep sarcoidosis on your radar as a great indication to consider for your medicines that you're looking to develop in your portfolio, depending on the targets you're going after. And remember, FSR has a table for you too, a place that you can join with peers from industry to help to understand how can you best develop a new treatment in sarcoidosis. You know, 6, 7 years ago, we didn't have clear eligibility criteria. We didn't have networks of sites. We didn't have this type of infrastructure, registry data to be able to pull off of, to be able to understand where patients are with the condition. FSR has truly created the foundation for sarcoidosis research, lowercase f, upon which now all of you can take advantage to develop those new treatments.
Wonderful. Love that. And Mary, I'll let you close us out with the last word.
Craig, I love all that. And to speak to that, again, thank you everybody for joining us. I'm sure there's a diverse group out here, and we appreciate everybody's interest in being with us today on LinkedIn Live. I would really encourage everybody to go to stopsarcoidosis.org and join our community. It's free. You just put your email in, and we have so much information. And it's not just for those living with sarcoidosis.
Oops, we lost Mary there, but I think what she was saying was that anyone can join. We have lots of different events, wellness events. We do yoga sometimes. We've done meditation sessions. So there's sessions that whether or not you are living with sarcoidosis, you may find helpful and useful. So we encourage you to join our community and join us. And Craig, is there anything you wanted to say in this last month?
No, I think that was a perfect way, and thank you for stepping in for Mary. I think some great insights that were shared there.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again, everyone, for joining us, and continue to follow us throughout the month. There'll be lots of interesting posts that are coming up, and we have a lot of incredible and fun events coming up as well. So keep in mind, stay in touch with us, and we look forward to celebrating World Sarc Day on April 13th with you. Thank you.